Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook show for Monday's 5-game main slate. James, my friend, how are we doing?
Doing well. Happy Monday. Solid 5-game slate with obviously some slate-shattering news to come since Nikola Jokic in a game that tips off an hour and a half later than every other game is, and 3.5 hours later than the other three.
Yeah.
Currently listed questionable, coming off a back-to-back in which he was playing in a up 22 in the fourth quarter against the Spurs in a in-season tournament game. So that was something, but
you and I talked about it live in the moment. We're like, it's kind of weird that he's going back into this game when they're up 20 on a Monday, first leg of a back-to-back. And then I was like, well, maybe he doesn't play Monday. And then midday questionable. Aaron Gordon already ruled out. You're like, yeah, that feels about right, doesn't it?
The funny thing about like a back injury designation is, often we say like this player is carrying a team. No, he is literally carrying them in every capacity. So love everyone rolling in nice and early today. I mean, Albert usually like halfway through the show we get the hello everyone. So Albert, what's going on? Nice and early. The Prince is wild card. We never know when the Prince is going to show up, but he's nice and early.
He could be lurking. I see Rio in there, Albert, the Prince already in there early, getting ready to go here for the Monday slate. Like I said, it's 5 games, and you and I talk a lot about this. What we consider to be wheelhouse slates for us. We love these 5 to 8 gamers, and that's basically what we have all week long. Because next week we're dealing with a bunch of 2-game slates, a couple days with no slates. We won't have any live shows next week. We'll do the preview show in the morning, and we'll run that again in the evening. But we won't be live with just the 2 games here. We'll be in the Discord, of course, getting you guys ready for the in-season tournament games here. But we'll be live all this week, but next week no live programming there in the evening time. So hopefully, again, we'll have some fun watching this in-season tournament. I think I'll be happy that it's over once we're through with it. It seems like some of the players may be happy when it gets over as well. But for this 5-game slate here, again, a lot of big names: Jokic, Embiid, Halliburton, Davis, James, all on this one. Joker obviously is the big questionable there, but Davis and LeBron are expected to suit up here tonight in their matchup against Philly, and what's really the marquee matchup of this slate. You look at in terms of games we are expecting to be competitive and fun watches. Portland Indy has the big total but a big spread. Washington Detroit, big total, not a great matchup. Not really great teams, but they'll be going up against one another. We thought Denver and LA was gonna be a fun one, but if Joker's out, that game probably doesn't. You said the spread already jumped up to 7.5, I think, on that one, right? So. Yeah. Really, if you're looking at this one, the Pelicans and Utah, not a great one. LA and 50 kind of is the star of this slate here tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely the best real life game. That's the one making the NBA TV marquee. Opened at 5.5 in Denver, LA. It's now 7.5, and the total's gotten down 2 points. So we'll see what happens. That could be an Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray rule out too, because both those guys are out. But it's going to be, and I think it's probably a good starting point. It's going to be one of those things where if you play Jokic, you have to have like an idea of what you're going to do, because there is no pivots close to that price tier. He is 12.8. He is $4,000 more expensive than the next player in that game. So
you got to have 2 spots open. One fills in for Paul George, and the other one for, I don't know.
Whoever your pivots are. You just need to, decide what you're going to do if we don't have that news. And it doesn't seem like we're going to have that news. I will say Jokic has played through most of these questionable tags throughout his the last few years. He's been questionable. He plays. He's been questionable. He's played. He's been questionable a couple times this year, and he's played. So he's been dealing with the back, and then he played 42 minutes, and then came back in a 20-point game last night. So it is worth mentioning that if you're going to play Jokic 1, you need to find the value to do so, because I don't know. The ownership The ownership on some of the value plays today is disgusting.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely get into that. But it's definitely the biggest talking point of the slate. What's going to happen with you?
Mark, hopefully nobody. Hopefully nobody gets ruled out after slate, the minute before the slate. Hopefully we can come through with something clean here this evening. But always possible here on a Monday. And a couple of teams on back-to-backs as well. I know Portland on the back-to-back. There's some questions as to, will Brogdon play? Would like Scoot Henderson play? I mean, some guys that have just come off injuries, would they suit up on these back-to-backs here? As of now, yes. As of now, there's no injury designation on these guys. So we kind of have to break down the slate with the expectations that they're going to be good to go. Will somebody roll an ankle during pregame warm-ups and nobody know about it until after roster lock? Only time will tell. Let's get into the point guard position here, James. There is Tyrese Halliburton here as the top price guard on the slate in a game that has a 12-point spread and a 239.5 game total here. Tyrese Maxey's at $9,200 against LA. Cade Cunningham, $8,300. That game has a 236 total with Detroit, a 2.5-point favorite here. Brogdon, 79, Harden, 78, Clarkson, 74. Your top 6 or so guards on the slate tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if you get to Halliburton, obviously that's cool. He has gone for 60 in 4 of his last 6 games. So if you end up on Halliburton, no one's going to blame you. He's low-owned. Low-owned Halliburton is always fun. We saw he was low-owned in that Atlanta game with a 250 total, and we saw what happened in that one. So if you land on Halliburton at 11K, definitely okay. Tyrese Maxey, just like Halliburton, has a ceiling. We saw him score 50 actual in the game. Now that came against Indiana, but there is a ceiling for Tyrese Maxey. Obviously, Cade, even in a game they lose by 26, plays 38 minutes. So, you have to feel good about the minutes. I don't love that.
A lot of stealing games coming against Indiana, but fortunately, Washington just as bad.
Washington is just as bad. I don't love the price. I don't love the single position eligibility, but it's fine. You can really attack Washington anywhere. I think Brogdon is quite interesting considering there's no injury designation. We did see him limited on the back-to-back a week ago, a little less than a week ago, actually. It didn't stop him from doing anything, 28-4 on the second leg of a back-to-back, but not on the injury report at all is kind of interesting. And I guess there's still time to go. You could not feel good considering what he's been through this, to this point in his career. But if he's not going to pop in the injury report, I'd be willing to take a shot on him, considering Portland's 24th in pace. There's nobody with a better pace advantage today than Portland. Indiana's first, Portland's 24th. And we kind of pointed it out on the show last night. They've looked kind of good, right? With Brogdon in the lineup. And I'm not, obviously, losing in a game you're almost up by 30 in yesterday is a tough pill to swallow. But that second leg of back-to-back, they won by almost 20. And I understand it was Utah, but Markkanen played in that game. The Utah had a basically a full-strength team with the exception of Walker Kessler. So, I like Brogdon 79 if there's not going to be an injury designation. And Indiana is obviously an elite offense. They've been number 1 in the league this year. And I think we just assume Portland is bad defensively. And I'm not sitting here saying they're good, but they're 16th. They're not Washington or Charlotte or Indiana, who's 28th defensively. So I think that this game could stay more competitive than Vegas is leading us to believe. Especially you think about Portland's guys other than Brogdon, everyone's young. Shaedon Sharpe is just turned 20 years old. Scoot Henderson is 19 years old. Yeah, they are on a back-to-back, but they're young. They're all young dudes, except with the exception of Brogdon. So I think Brogdon is really intriguing here in a spot where, Indiana is the 28th ranked defense, is the number 1 team in pace, and that's plus for all of Portland. They just need to make some shots.
Agreed. Pretty much, we've been playing anybody against Pacers. They all have ceiling games pretty much going up against them. What are your thoughts on D'Angelo Russell here? The minutes we know, in competitive games have fluctuated a bit, but the production's still been pretty damn good on a per minute basis. A game that's supposed to be close, competitive. He's the third fiddle to AD and LeBron, but AD dealing with Joel Embiid here tonight. Maybe a little bit more goes to D'Angelo Russell in this spot. Any interest at $6,300?
I would feel a little better about it if Cam Reddish is out. Like, the less players that LA could close with, the better. Because we've seen like multiple times they're just not using Russell in competitive games at the end because he can't play defense. He just doesn't. He's a zero on that end. So I don't dislike it. It's not like my favorite option, but if that's where you land with if Cam Reddish is rolled out, then I'm okay. And we'll know because that's a 7:00 game.
Yeah, they just gave all our usual 5K guards a price bump into D'Angelo Russell's price range, but didn't move D'Angelo Russell. So now it's like, he's priced where he's been priced this whole time, but now Kathy George, Melton, Reggie Jackson, Daniels and Hawkins, even Westbrook, like all these guys now are in this mid 5K upper or to lower 6K price range. Is there a guard that you're looking to play here? I know where we're going. We like Jaden Ivey. We're just going to probably plug Jaden Ivey at $5,400, but do any of these other guys in that range appeal to you?
I would say Dyson Daniels would probably be the other guy in this range. Maybe Reggie Jackson against Clippers, but Daniels, coming off a poor shooting game, is playing big minutes. He's definitely been the more consistent guy between him and Jordan Hawkins. Like, Hawkins has the higher ceiling, but Dyson Daniels has been more versatile. I mean, he's a big guard. He can play multiple positions. That's why he is listed point guard, small forward, because when Jose Alvarado's on the floor, they move Daniels off the ball, and he's playing more of the 2 and the 3. He had 7 blocks and steals last game, which seems kind of like not repeatable, but there has been multiple games where he's had a steal. He's also had a steal in all but 2 games this year, and that is coming from a player who did not start the year as a starter. So I love the eligibility for Dyson Daniels. This is a great spot for the Pelicans. I know we just saw it. That was the second leg of a back-to-back. Willie Green mentioned it a bunch that couldn't stress enough that there was a back-to-back, and in Utah it doesn't seem like the most fun second leg, but this is a matchup between 2 top 10 teams in pace. One of them is good defensively, New Orleans, one of them not, Utah. 26th in defensive rating. So I think Dyson Daniels outside of Ivy would be the guy for me.
Okay. Yeah, 232 game total on that one, a 5.5 point spread with Utah here. Hasn't really moved much at all, but the point total has gone on. Maybe getting Clarkson activated is bumping up the total there in that one. Like we mentioned, we are just kind of plugging in Jaden Ivey, and so is the field. Got to start again. Great matchup against the Washington Wizards here. Price tag slowly on the move, coming off of a ceiling game, 35 fantasy points, 25 actual here. This is the guy that we saw last year do a lot of similar production.
Yeah, I have not much to add. I mean, he's a fantasy point per minute guy at this price, so it's a plug and play. I know the field is it's good chalk, especially if we're going to get 30 minutes on a nightly basis out of him.
Yeah, 100%. Any other point guards?
Any other point guards? I mean, you can obviously, if Colin Sexton is a GPP play, I don't think they need him as much with Clarkson back, but they could elect to go if Keontae George is not providing anything. I mean, they are losing their best scorer in Markkanen, so they could elect to go Clarkson Sexton backcourt at times. I don't think they need to. I would say Jose Alvarado is probably the only other guy. Remains to be seen what his role is with what everyone's role is when they're at full strength, but he, with Dyson Daniels' ability to play off the ball, we saw Jordan Hawkins obviously get his minutes cut in half when Zion's been healthy, and Alvarado, 15, 19, 16, 23 minutes, and that was on the second leg of a back-to-back, just 4 games into his season. 5 for 11 is not always going to be the shooting performance from Jose Alvarado, but
he's given you 2 of the last 3 though.
He has, and I think that's a really good sign. They gave him a contract in the offseason. He is really annoying defensively, and it's hard to not think if he's like scoring too. How can they keep him off the floor late in games? Like he's going to play over Hawkins. He's going to play over any of these like fringe. Like they go small. They could just play Zion at the 5. They take Valanciunas off the floor. Like they do that religiously, right? Valanciunas is going to play 27 minutes and not close games. So I think Jose Alvarado has a decent chance to get around the 23, 24 minute mark again. And if that's the case, like 4K, 20 fantasy points is not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, we just saw 30. So
I was gonna say we got 20 in 19 minutes against Sacramento. So right. I'm with you. I think there's a pretty good case being made here as a value play, especially in this matchup against Utah. At shooting guard here, Paul George is 88, Ingram's 9K. You and I talked about it this morning with Zion back. We're less inclined to go Ingram here. But now with the news with Denver, was Paul George a better or worse play now?
I mean, Paul George can always pop in like any situation. I think he has figured things out the quickest with this new Clippers iteration. So you could definitely play Paul George with elite position eligibility. He's not a priority, but
Denver competitive wise, if there's no Joker.
I mean, yeah, sure, of course. You also like San Antonio was competitive against them. Houston, I mean, they've had some like pretty tough matchups during this like stretch where they're implementing this new team kind of thing. They lost to Memphis with, Harden there. That's not great. I don't know if Porter and Jackson were to give them ceiling games, maybe.
I only bring it up because obviously, again, now he did play 32 minutes in the blowout against San Antonio. He had 46 fantasy points there. Dude's been a stud. It's a 10-30 game though, right? So now you have to make that decision. Are you willing to play George at 88 and not know the outcome of the 10-30, player pool? Or are you being less risky and playing the 7 o'clock game instead? Like, the rostership here, because of the time spread and the uncertainty surrounding the Denver team, just has me wondering your thoughts there on the Clippers situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you just said is how I'd approach it. And I think it's like similar to how we opened the show with the Jokic. It's like, if you want to either 1, play Jokic, or 2, be okay with if he sits and you have pivots, then that's your Paul George play. Because I don't think like you're building today with like, yes, Paul George, first player in my build, or like one of my top spends. Because like, not to say he can't go for 60. I'm just saying it's like there are better environments on the board. Like both those teams are slow. Both those teams are good defensively. Like there's not a lot to love about that game. Yeah, now playing Jokic is one thing. You could play him in, it could be Jokic versus 10, and you'd be like, all right, well, I'll take my chances with Jokic. So I think if you're using Paul George, you're probably pairing him with somebody from that late game and having some type of like Jokic plus pivot.
What are your thoughts on Jordan Poole here tonight? Obviously had that late scratch. Apparently was at the morning shoot around here today. Yes. So there is a chance, and more than likely a chance, that he does return. He's $6,800. He is shooting guard only. Field's getting to him around 20% here today. Going up against Detroit, coming off a couple of ceiling games here. Are you comfortable running it back out here? Because the price is not caught up to what we've gotten out of him production-wise the last couple of games.
Yeah, totally comfortable. It's a bad defensive unit. Detroit, bottom 10. They play pretty fast. I know it's obviously a pace down spot for Washington, but not too bad. Detroit is 11th in pace. So still top, more than top half of the league, almost the top third of the league. So yeah, be okay getting Jordan Poole. I mean, we knew there was going to be inefficient nights. We're getting that. He's been slightly more efficient, but I think the most, the good things that we've seen, the minutes have been super consistent lately, where in the beginning half of the year, like what were we doing? Why were we playing 20, 25, and 28 in 3 straight games? The shots have been great, but the peripheral stats have followed around too, like the last couple games at least. So yeah, be okay getting Jordan Poole. If he doesn't play, there's obviously a bump to like Tyus Jones and Corey Kispert and Koulibaly. Tyus Jones, because now I won some money on FanDuel last night, obligated to play on FanDuel here tonight, John. Tyus Jones is only 5,600 on FanDuel, so like that would be a great pivot off of Jordan Poole. So I'm definitely interested in Poole. I think the morning shoot around news is great for his status tonight, but if he doesn't play or re-aggravates his ankle or something, Tyus Jones is a pretty good pivot.
Okay. Other guys in the range here that I like, obviously Buddy Hield, assuming he continues to start. Great opportunity for him. Price is quickly on the rise, but again, he's still outperforming what he's got there. And I like Austin Reeves still. I know you mentioned that this is maybe a little bit more to do if Reddish is ruled out or not, but he was coming off the bench and still producing lately, even when Reddish was getting those minutes. So I don't mind Reeves here at $6,200.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like against him. It's a good position eligibility. It's one of the best games on the board. I do think there's a chance that Reddish cuts into some time for kind of everybody involved, not named James and Davis. So I'm okay with getting to Reeves. Not my favorite price, not my favorite play of the day.
Yeah, with the smaller player pools, obviously, again, there's less options. There's even lesser value on this slate here. So, are you just like really what's your shooting guard player pool tonight? What are you narrowing yourself down to here?
I mean, thank God a lot of these guys are point guard, shooting guard eligible because I can just play them both. I mean, outside of anyone we mentioned, like Norm is interesting.
Yep.
Can't get to Matherin with Nesmith likely to return. I think the 31 minutes is kind of just not sustainable. Just how inconsistent things have been. Obviously, we get to Max Christie if there's no Cam Reddish.
Are you playing Reddish if he's starting?
Probably not.
Okay.
You can. I think it's like a low floor. It's pretty low floor if the steals and the 7 shots that he's going to take don't fall. So, but like 20, 21 fantasy points in the 2 games prior to the grind poll, like 39 minutes, 21 fantasy points is like pretty bad on a per minute basis.
Aaron Nesmith expected to be available.
Yeah, he went through practice yesterday, so I figured that would be the case, and I think that hurts. I mean, that obviously hurts Toppin.
Yeah. It actually helps us if he's starting because he's cheaper than Obi Toppin. So
yeah, Rick Carlisle, and I was reading this. He said that he started Nesmith in that Atlanta game based on the matchup. So we'll see how he approaches Portland, who starts Jeremy Grant at the 4. I don't know if that means we'll see.
I mean, that feels like that would be better for Nesmith, no? Like a guy that's kind of spreading the floor out here?
Probably.
They had Jalen Hunter and Jalen Smith against Atlanta, right? That's more Jeremy Grant style of play.
Yeah. We'll see. I definitely want, I would definitely like Nesmith to start.
Better shooter.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I think and like you said, he's just cheaper on a slate that we're like kind of starved for value that's not Utah.
Kind of funny that Alec Burks the last couple of games just out of their rotation after how great he was earlier this year. I mean, and Sasser sort of the same thing, just like not playing anymore. Guys are back, Sasser out, right?
Well, when the GOAT Isaiah Livers is soaking up 26 minutes a night, John, I mean, what are you supposed to do?
One of the highest expected roster players on tonight's slate is Isaiah Livers for whatever reason. This is what you get from him. Like, there's not much else here.
He is a quality defender that will not do anything for us fantasy wise.
I don't get the Isaiah Livers.
Okay, here's one. Since we're at shooting guard, okay, you can only pick one, and this doesn't apply to Isaiah Livers.
Norm.
Justin Holiday or Isaiah Livers. 3,300. C other.
I mean, Julian Strawther is probably a guy that if there's no Joker tonight, could get more love, right? And already no Gordon, no Joker. Then maybe they move MPJ to the power forward spot and play Julian Strawther at like the 3.
Yeah, so I was looking at the popcorn machine for that game last night because I wanted to see if Schroeder did not play blowout run, so he played 19 minutes of just basketball. He didn't he just played in the first half. He closed the first quarter. He played the final 4 minutes, played the first 6 of the second quarter, and then he checked in at the 5-minute mark of the third, and then played until the 8-minute mark of the fourth. Never came back in, which I don't know what that says, because they put Jokic, KCP, They put the starting 5 back in the game, which again, your face just said it all. But we know Schroeder he's going to get on the floor and he's going to shoot. And Michael Malone has had a lot of issues with their rotation.
Yeah.
Denver is primed to make a move at some point or another.
Go get Buddy Hield.
They're gonna add somebody. Add somebody.
Somebody. Yeah. Right.
So
wouldn't that be a great pick for them? You get MPJ on one side, Buddy Hield on the other, just spreading the floor for Joker and Gordon and that crew.
And
Jamal Murray comes back, obviously that will help. But
they still need that. I still think losing the Bruce Brown piece was obviously they thought Christian Brown would be
ready
him, and he has not looked that good. So other than in a few games, but shooting guard, small forward, Schroeder and Holiday. Schroeder obviously has a higher ceiling. Holiday
played the minutes.
So he played the minutes. Right. He played the minutes. There was a long stretch. He checked out in the third quarter. I mean, he played a lot of first half minutes, John. He played.
It's wild to me that in 2023 we've had to talk about both Aaron Holiday and Justin Holiday.
Yeah. He played 17 first half minutes. Okay. And he didn't play a lot because I think in the second half because they were like, oh, blowout. And then it got close. And then Malone put him back in the fourth.
He's never been a good fantasy guy. So
I'm just saying, I'm not thrilled about it. The question would be, I would pick Justin Holiday if it was just a question between him and Isaiah Livers, by the way.
Okay.
Because Justin Holiday also getting some ownership, which, not fun. I mean, lineups that consist of Isaiah Livers and Justin Holiday might as well just not try tonight.
They also probably include Joel Embiid and LeBron James in the same lineup.
You have to assume that it's if you're playing
stars and scrubs.
You're playing those guys. You're playing Embiid, and you're hoping we get the Delano Banton game, right? You're hoping they get you the 5x, and winning lineups last night with Delano Banton because he was 3K. He got you to 5x, and you move on. You were able to get Magic, you were able to get Jokic, and you were able to get Celtics. But so I think Justin Holiday and Schroeder. I'll throw Schroeder in that mix. 19 minutes, and elephant in the room. There's no Nikola Jokic. You already brought it up. What are the chances the game were to stay competitive? Julian Schroeder could only benefit. I mean, they need offense.
To your point there, the fact that he played those 19 minutes without it being straight blowout run, I might just plug in Julian Schroeder in a tournament anyways. And just...
because it's not Justin Holiday or Isaiah Livers.
And I think there's a higher upside with him. He's
21 actual in 19 minutes.
The floor for all three players is single digits, but I feel like the ceiling is riding with Schroeder there. So if I'm just going to take a dart with someone, and the fact that he played the 19 minutes on the front leg of a back-to-back, and they weren't just 12 minutes of 20-minute blowout run, and there's in the same situation again, no Aaron Gordon. I have to assume no Aaron Gordon contributed to the fact that he played more minutes than he had been playing. Then sign me up. Sign me up for some Julian Schroeder dart throw. And if he comes back and scores 12 fantasy points tonight, I knew the risks. I knew the risks going into it. So happy to take that chance there because there isn't a lot of value here. Small forward position. LeBron James was one of the first guys I put into a lineup here tonight. Under 10K, doesn't have to deal with Embiid. Great spot against Philly here. We know what his ceiling can be. I know the numbers of late haven't been great for him. They weren't, these big 60 fantasy point outings like they were. Cleveland, he only went for 45. Dallas, he went for 48, but I'm still liking myself. So there it is. Nikola Jokic listed out.
Holy smoke.
I mean,
what news?
What
news to get early?
We got the news.
Okay, so let's talk about this real quick because Denver last night, John, and I assume that this Zeke Njai played 1 minute.
Right.
He checked in He was the first player off the Nuggets bench last night, John. He picked up 2 fouls.
$5,200 too, by the way.
Yeah.
They knew. They knew.
He was the first player off the bench last night. 2 fouls, 1 minute, never played again. DeAndre Jordan played all the backup center minutes. Oh man, this is brutal because one, I don't think that this makes Michael Porter a better play because Michael Porter has so many catch and three opportunities off of Jokic passes.
Yeah, Reggie Jackson now probably more appealing than Michael Porter.
I'm also about to Core IQ some Nuggets without Jokic. Like I just can't imagine Jokic, Gordon, and Murray. I can't imagine that there's like any sample of this, like any. Right? I mean,
there is. I bet there's plenty of minutes because Murray's been out, and Gordon and Joker probably been off more together.
Okay, so there is a 69-minute sample this year. Nice. Where there is no Jokic, Gordon, Murray. NJ and Christian Brown have played the most. Christian Brown, 1.12 fantasy points per minute. Reggie Jackson in 60 minutes, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Michael Porter does have a nice fantasy point per minute output, 1.15. Those are the three guys over 1 fantasy points per minute. NJ sits at 0.76, Julian Strawther at 0.7, which is not great. But this obviously puts a stressor on like the rest of the Nuggets rotation in general because what the hell are they going to do? I assume they start NJ. They just gave him that big contract. DeAndre's probably the backup.
The Clippers play tomorrow. Let's check that out.
You're thinking late scratch for the Clippers here?
I'm thinking Kawhi may not play now. Like with that, none of that would shock me, right?
They played Kawhi. I mean, they played them on a back-to-back just the other day, I'm just saying the fact that they don't. So the Clippers do not have a back-to-back. They play a back-to-back on Wednesday, Thursday this week, both on the road in Sacramento, in Golden State here. Tough fight.
I'm just saying, like, usually sometimes when these big teams like rule out their players, then like other teams are just like, you know what, illness, no thanks. We'll just give them a rest here. Obviously monster news. We'll have to get updated rostership here. Christian Braun for sure going to be a guy that's going to be probably popular now.
Yes.
I
like the more
$4,900 for Christian Braun. That was kind of but
it's definitely not free. I definitely think that there's someone who played a lot last night, Peyton Watson, John, and Michael.
You got the game ball.
They have a defense. It's defensive chain.
Okay.
He got the defense chain that he got to wear. I mean, he's a low floor guy, but 3,300. What if he played like the backup five with the Clippers going like Daniel Tice as their backup center, right? And sometimes taking centers off the floor. Strawther, basically in any situation, I feel like plays around 20 minutes, just given they need offense.
And why wouldn't he play more on a night like tonight?
Right. Right, especially like DeAndre, probably, veteran in the league, doesn't need to play. Justin Holiday, veteran in the league, probably doesn't need to like be extended for 35. Jay Huff. Jay Huff starts from the clouds or what? He did play 2 minutes last night. It was last night, right? He got 2 minutes, scored. I think there's a lot of, they're missing 3 of their 4 best players, so.
Yeah. Zeke NJ more than likely gets this start.
Has to. I think they gave him the extension, but Michael Malone also said hey, I don't like what's happening with this rotation, and then he played 1 minute last night. So
DeAndre played 12, right?
And DeAndre played 12. Well, that's also the Jokic. Jokic came in a freaking blowout and was and played 35. So if you had to rank your favorite Nuggets tonight, how would you rank your favorite Nuggets?
Probably Reggie's 1.
Because he's just going to have the ball in his hands so much.
Cam Reddish ruled out.
It's good for
Reeves, Christie. Christie's been starting.
Yeah. It's all going to depend on how you view the Denver value now, right? Because the Denver, obviously, there's just value galore. They have 3 of their top 4 players out on the slate.
Yeah, I still think Reggie's my number 1. I liked the matchup as him anyways against the Clippers guards. Like I thought that was a good spot for him there. And then the usage rate kind of obviously makes it work. MBJ, like you mentioned, doesn't have like a greater matchup now. He's still getting the defensive George or Kawhi. But he's probably primed for a ceiling shot game.
Yes, have to think so.
And probably a rebound game.
So updated sportsbooks odds, ready?
Yeah.
Opened at 220. There are sportsbooks lagging behind, so you can still bet the under on like 218.5. If you look at FanDuel Sportsbook, they're down to 214.5 and a 9.5 point spread. Yeah. I have to assume that's where it's going to like settle in everywhere. DraftKings at 10, BetMGM 8.5. So like it's really spaced across that this game is going to get out of hand. I'm probably most likely to just play.
He played 37 minutes in a game they lost by 20.
Okay. Jokic played 42 as an in-season tournament game.
True.
So they needed the point differential or points or whatever. So like that's always like
27 when they lost by 12 against Cleveland.
I mean, realistically, Denver, second leg of a back-to-back. They are traveling from Denver to LA.
Yeah.
No Gordon, no Murray, no Jokic. Against the Clippers team, 4-1 over the last 5 games. They just beat the Mavericks by 20 with Luka scoring 30. What's our expectation for Denver keeping this game competitive?
Well, I don't think they keep it competitive, but like, what do they? I think that there's, again, it's more of a reason why I think I like Strothard anyway. Like I think he's just a guy that's going to be on the floor.
Correct.
But they could just leave Christian Braun out there for 40 minutes tonight too. Like I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. So you think they protect Porter probably, and KCP probably gets some protection on minutes.
Yeah, I mean, protection would be. I think that if this game is competitive, the starters play minutes. I think if it's not, like, it. I mean, how often are like KCP, Michael Porter, 20? I mean, Michael Porter's been often injured, right? Like a second leg of a back-to-back without 3 of your other 3 best players doesn't seem like the best idea to extend Michael Porter for 40, but it all depends on your perception of this game. If you
Jordan
think
Poole's still a game time decision.
Classic. That's great.
Prince, on this one, it was because he injured himself during the pregame warm up. But to your point, we should have probably known that he wasn't going to play. It just wasn't. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell anybody until it was too late. So they at least knew the Joker was probably not playing last night. When we talked about it, we talked about it on the morning show. We saw him go back into that game, and I was like, well, what if he doesn't play?
Yep.
What if that's?
I mean, it was weird. That was weird. That was like there was no reason that he's going back to that game.
We had the feeling. What was it, a couple of years ago? You and I were we were calling people being ruled out like left and right ahead of time. We were making it happen. All right. So again, I think Strother's in play. I think you can take your shots at some of these Denver guys. I'm not going to go crazy with it. I'm not playing Pickett or Gillespie or any of those guys here tonight. Like seems a little too much for me. But like you mentioned, Peyton Watson got the defensive chain, played 22 minutes. Zeke Njai's gonna see a good probably run at center here tonight. He's a guy that they don't need to have protection for because he doesn't really play unless Joker's out anyway. So he could be a guy that still plays 30 plus tonight in a blowout. They're not going to go throw DeAndre Jordan out there for 25 minutes. So
revenge.
Yeah, no, he probably gets the initial sub run, and then Njai probably closes that game. So, for me, Njai, Braun, Strother, maybe the only 3 I play on the Denver Nuggets tonight.
I'd have some interest in Peyton Watson, probably 3,300.
Sure. Okay, that's fine. How do you handle the Clippers?
I mean, look, if you think it's going to be a blowout, there's obviously somebody scoring a lot of points.
Bones revenge tonight?
They just start Bones after seeing this news. They're like, Bones, get out there. So I'm a little – I messaged you the other night when Norm didn't close. I was like, Norm just tweaked his ankle. And I think that Norm might have closed if he didn't tweak his ankle, and he's fine. Or I guess they're calling it a groin. No, there was a groin injury the night before, I guess. Norm is interesting.
Man,
yeah, Terrence Mann would be interesting. And if you want to take a shot in guessing who the primary Clipper is going to be, Westbrook also was like closing in that game. If you want to take a flyer on Westbrook, I know he didn't like fully close, but he played most of that fourth quarter.
This was also a game where like it was out of hand, but it was closer for a little bit. Like this one could be a 40-point game by halftime, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough for Denver.
You might get a full 12-minute fourth out of Bones Highland here.
You could actually get 12 minutes of Bones Highland for sure.
If not more, truthfully. Again, so I don't know how to approach this anymore. I liked Paul George tonight, but I don't know if I can play him anymore.
I mean, the one thing that has been pretty solid about Paul George is that really outside of one game, he's played into the fourth quarter. Like they beat the Spurs. The first matchup against the Spurs that they were torching them, and he played a shift into the fourth quarter, and they were winning by a lot into that fourth quarter. So you can get to George if you want, but it's harder. It's obviously a lot harder to get to the Clippers now with Jokic being out.
All right, let's go back to small forward here because we got a little derailed. Obviously, we liked LeBron James, and then we got hit with that news. MPJ 75. Oscar Thompson, again, is somebody I'm willing to go back to. I like the matchup. He got off to a really good start, and then he did nothing in the second half of that game. Still willing to give him run because I think he's someone that can be super active defensively. I mean, he had 6 rebounds and 8 points in that game in 30 minutes. Hit 4 of his 5 shots. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just a fan of the guy. And I think in tournaments on a 5-game slate, he could be the Herb Jones that I played, a couple of days ago. When nobody was playing Herb, he hit his shots, he gave you defense, and he had himself a day. I know you're not probably in on this play, though.
I for my seasonal fantasy team's sake, I would love it.
He's getting 22% of the rostership.
Yeah, I'll definitely.
He was getting the other day.
I'll definitely fade him at 22%. I wasn't playing him then at low ownership. I'm not going to play him at 22% either. It's fine. It's a fine play. It's Washington. It's a good matchup. So if you want to get there, you can get there.
Sure. Where else are we looking in the mid tier then for you? Austin Reeves now, as you mentioned, more appealing.
Yeah, 6,200 should definitely play a solid role. Probably gets 30 minutes off the bench. Basically running point guard. So 40 fantasy point upside. Done it in 2 of his last 3. 33 plus fantasy points in 4 straight. Love that. It's going to face kind of like a skeleton crew. I assume he sees some Pat Beverly defenses probably but again, sometimes matchups are just very overstated and it doesn't necessarily matter. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Austin Reeves 6,200 is definitely a play here.
Gabriel hoping Jordan Poole gets ruled out so he can play Tyus and Denny. Denny sitting here at $6,100 against Detroit. 17 minutes in the game, but it was a blowout. Very inconsistent though. Lately.
Yeah. I feel like I'd rather play like Kispert Koulibaly than Denny if Poole's out, and maybe even like some.
I would honestly, if Poole's out, I'm just playing all the Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, same. He is. So I'm playing him on FanDuel. He's under 8K over there, John. When we talk about the price ceiling, I know it's.
I mean, he's been great with Jordan Poole. Take Jordan Poole out of the equation now against Detroit. That feels like a great spot for Kyle Kuzma.
Are you getting to Kuzma if Poole's rolled out on is he now that we don't have to spend up on Jokic, we basically
if you want to just answer the question then, are you paying for Embiid tonight then?
I'd have no problem getting to Embiid.
I don't have a problem getting to Embiid, but if you're not allocating 12-8 now to Joker tonight, it's your 2 other spend ups are Halliburton at 11K and Embiid at 11.7.
I lean Embiid of the 2. He has been,
and you're also now putting $1,100 back in your pocket by making that move, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. it's hard. Look, it's hard not to like a guy in a Nick Nurse, the best player on a Nick Nurse led team, when the offense is funneling through this player now that there's no James Harden, and you see, because we know the points, we know the rebounds, we know the defense, the assists 9, 5, 9, 8, 7, 6, 7 over his last 7 games. Like, dude, you want to talk about like, oh, he can't do what Jokic can. Look at the numbers. He's doing what Jokic is doing. So like,
I don't know if you saw any of the Twitter controversy this morning, but
the Paul, is this the Paul Reed stuff?
No, this was PrizePicks accidentally listing Joel Embiid's free throw made prop at 5 today.
Oh, that seems very incorrect.
And then they voided everybody's plays who bet it because they're like, it was a mistake.
It's supposed to be 15, and
it's supposed to be 15. Yeah, it's supposed to be 15. Yeah, 5 made within the first 5 minutes or something like that was probably what they meant to do. Instead, they gave him 5 for the game.
Did you see the Paul Reed comments today?
I did. Yeah, I saw the Paul Reed comment.
And then Nick Nurse just was told about it. He said, "Oh, I have to go talk to Paul right after this." So yeah, shout out Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the answer is yes. I'm comfortable getting to Embiid. That Denver value obviously opened up a lot of things.
Do you see more people going fair and balanced without Joker in the lineup, or do you think more people just play Embiid Halliburton now? It's a 5-game slate. There's only 4 actual spend-ups, right? So fair and balanced certainly comes into a bit more of a play. I still think I'm with you. I like Embiid a lot, because it's a 13-point spread in Indy Portland. Feels a little less exciting there in that one, but having LeBron, in 97 feels like a pretty good spend now that we're basically canceling out the Clippers for the most part as well.
I'm going to say people still go fair and balanced, but it obviously is easier to get to Embiid now.
Waiting for the update to come through for this rostership so we can see like where the pivots are going to here. I know they'll be updated shortly, and we can get that uploaded on site as well for all of you here. But Algo is still sort of working its way through from the provider. So when we get that, we'll have it for you. Other small forwards like Bruce Brown's getting some love here tonight. We don't really know what Utah is going to be doing. Again, I think a lot of people play Christian Braun now at $4,900. Yep. Koulibaly $48. Prince at $46. We know Reddish has some pretty stable minutes here now. You mentioned Fontecchio potentially staying in the starting lineup here tonight, but Christie likely starting at $39, the same price, coming off of a better showing for him. Strother's at $36. I mean, some interesting spots here at small forward.
Yeah, I mean, the Denver guys are obviously interesting. Christie is going to be guarding. All the reports are he gets the Tyrese Maxey assignment tonight. So good luck to Max Christie. You're going to need it running around chasing Tyrese Maxey around the floor. Fontecchio, very low floor. He can make shots. I mean, we saw him in the World Cup. He was Italy's leading scorer. He can get buckets if he starts, but it's just all kind of yuck.
Sure. Agreed. Moving on over to the power forward position here then. Up at the top, we have LeBron. We talked about him. We got Zion coming back, 87. Kyle Kuzma, 86. Again, I lean Kuzma here, I think even if Poole plays. But Zion was giving us some pretty good production there, rounding himself out now. Thoughts on the 2 top power forwards here?
I'd rather play both on FanDuel. Zion 81, Kuzma 79. So that both feels a little mispriced over there, but you could definitely get to either. This is probably one of the best stretches we've seen Zion in recent memory, at least while healthy. I mean, 25 plus actual in 4 straight, the assist 5 plus in 5 straight games, still no CJM. So if you want to get to Zion in elite matchup against a bottom 10 defense, you can definitely do it. Same with Kuzma. I mean, if the offense is going to flow through Kuzma and he's going to be the hub for this team, who's to say this isn't another game where he approaches double-digit assists and flirts with a triple-double? And the only times he really hasn't scored 20 are like blowouts. If you just look through box scores, it's like he's given you 20 actual every night that games are competitive. So Yeah, I'm good with both if that's where you land. It's hard to like love Kawhi after that, but I think Jeremy Grant is kind of interesting tonight, John. 7,600. Just given I already said I think Indiana could keep this game, or Portland could keep this game a little more competitive.
Listen, we talk a lot about that, right? Like Malcolm Brogdon is a factor we have to refactor, right?
Yep.
Or
Yep.
His ability to go off and score in bunches is something that team didn't have. Scoot Henderson being back certainly helping their rotations a little bit here. We know what Jeremy Grant can be, and so yeah, Vegas obviously thinks that Indy's going to go out there and Halliburton's just going to take over and go for 40 actual or 30 plus and 16 assists, and that's the reason they're going to blow up. But if Malcolm Brogdon's coming back on the other side and now gives Portland a 25 plus point score they didn't have before, I'm with you. I think this game could be sneaky competitive. Portland on a back-to-back on the road is another reason for the big spread. But if you think that, if you're sitting here saying I think Portland can keep this game close, you want to play Halliburton here then tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying, like you just pointed it out, Portland, second leg of a back-to-back on the road.
Yep.
They're bad. They're a bad team. But, like...
They almost just beat Milwaukee.
They almost just beat Milwaukee. They were up huge against Milwaukee. And, like, they're as healthy as they've been, sans Anthony Simons. And they've been more competitive lately, coming off a 20-point win, almost a 20-point win on a second leg of a back-to-back a week ago. It's like... And let's not just... Yes, Indiana, great offense. They're 28th defensively. They gave up 152 points in a game that they scored 155 in. Like, they're not like this team that's like gonna stop anybody. So we know Jeremy Grant is a certified bucket. He's averaged 20 points per game, even in the last couple of years with Damian Lillard. So I love Jeremy Grant as a tournament play. And yeah, I don't hate the idea of pairing him with Halliburton if you think this game could stay close.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it here. I think if you think this game is going to be competitive on a small slate, again, the rostership coming in on Halliburton isn't really there because of the blowout, but we've also, you and I have made some nice money on some low roster Tyrese Halliburton on this season, and certainly without Joker now could be a reason to kind of reevaluate that. Kind of see what we have for Halliburton right now. Halliburton is just 5%. So you get a 5% Halliburton on a 5-game slate. Now only one of two guys with like a 70 fantasy point ceiling, not to like knock off LeBron or AD. They can certainly get there, but we've seen more consistency, I think, out of Halliburton and Embiid when it comes to ceiling games this season. You're getting one of those guys at 5% here tonight, maybe. That's something to look at. Mid-tier power forwards, you got John Collins, Herb Jones, Beef Stew, $5,500, Obi or Neesmith, whoever starts there. Any interest at some of these guys?
No, I think this mid-tier is bad.
Yeah, Stewart. I don't get Stewart. Like, he feels like probably like an okay floor guy, but unexciting with Jalen Duran there. And then value tier again, no one really popping off for me down here either. The field, as we mentioned, is playing Isaiah Livers.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if that comes down with.
True. Probably should, right?
Yes, it should. I mean, look, if it doesn't go away, I'm happy to fade Isaiah Livers. That's a great thing in my brain to fade Isaiah Livers. But I would think with Reddish being out, we'll see a bump towards some of that ownership going towards Christie, and I would suspect some Denver guys start getting some love too.
Agreed. All right, center spot here. Obviously, Nikola Jokic is now no longer active here tonight, so we have JoJo at 11-7, and his opposite of him is Anthony Davis at 9,800 going up against one another. They're both very capable of having good games against each other. I kind of pointed out last night on the preview show, or this morning on the preview show, just sort of the size differential that we're dealing with here in terms of like pure mass, right? JoJo's probably a bigger 7-footer than they give him credit for, and he's listed at 280 pounds. Well, Anthony Davis, also a 7-footer, but 250 pounds here. Wouldn't shock me if Joel Embiid was heavier than 280 pounds and bigger than 7 feet tall. So from a physical standpoint, and a guy that has been known to be a bit fragile at times, and Anthony Davis, I want to give the lean to Joel Embiid. Plus, I think it was a few years ago, Joel Embiid had the 100-point game.
He did
against the Los Angeles Lakers. So I forget if Anthony Davis was on the other side of that beating, but JoJo is certainly capable of putting up some big numbers in these spots.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone for 64 in 3 straight games, 3 straight double-doubles, back-to-back games with 4+ blocks. Like, and the assists, I already talked, like, he's being Jokic with like more minutes, like right. Even like a higher minute ceiling almost. So
the assists are wild. Now we were playing his assist prop last year, if you remember, and it was like 3.5, 4, and we were feeling pretty good about the way they were doing that. 9, 5, 9, 8, 7. I mean, wild assist totals here from Joel Embiid to start the year.
I mean, it's just, you think about it though, like you have James Harden, ball dominant player, removed from floor, and now the entire offense flows through. Not that it didn't, he was the MVP last year, but like there was still Harden there. Like that was still something that they were dealing with. They're not.
And I think the conversation about him winning the MVP, when everybody's like, well, look at the numbers Nikola Jokic was putting up. Like, how does he not win the MVP? And Embiid's like, okay, I'll just do that too then.
Right? It's the office meme. It's the office meme with what Ryan here. He's just like sitting there taking notes. Yeah,
take notes. Yeah. He's like, all right, if I have to average 8 assists a game, I'll do it. That's fine. No big deal. No, I'm with you there. So I really like Joel Embiid here tonight. I would play him over Anthony Davis if I was picking a top spend up at the center position here. When I went down to the mid tier, though, my lineups actually had Jalen Duran in them. Yeah. Coming off the game, 29 minutes against Indy, 39 fantasy points a couple nights ago here. Had a bigger day, or we're expecting a bigger performance out of him probably here tonight in that matchup against Washington.
Yeah, I mean, the field's getting to him as well. That's not like the best kept secret that Jalen Duran is going to be popular tonight, 6,700. I mean, we saw it open the year. This is what he looked like, but like expanded run. So if we get the 32 to 35 minute Jalen Duran and this production follows, we're talking about a guy who's going to once again step into like 50 fantasy points. You're going to be like, oh, there he is. Like he's back.
It's just the fouls, right? Can he stay out of foul trouble here?
He is a very foul happy guy. I mean, it does feel like he could with Daniel Gafford opposing him, but there is always the case like Jordan Poole and Kuzma going to the rim, and that's like he's just fouling them. I love Jalen Duran 67. I do think a nice pivot in tournaments, and I'm just going to say it. I've talked Portland up enough today where I'm not afraid to continue to go back to that well. If this game stays competitive, DeAndre Ayton is playing really well. 3 of his last 4 games, he's put up 37 plus fantasy points. And when you look at his numbers with Malcolm Brogdon on the floor, they're pretty good. Like he has benefited this year from Brogdon being on the floor. He's not a high usage player, but with Brogdon on the floor, 1.15 fantasy points per minute on the year. Like it's a really good mark, especially for a guy if he's going to play 32, 33, 34 minutes. And earlier in the year, we saw like a 38-minute ceiling out of DeAndre Ayton. Yeah. If he were to somehow get to like 38 minutes, we're talking about a guy who, has 50 fantasy point upside. Like he is a very skilled offensive player. And John, he took half his free throws last night. He has 15 free throws. I guess the math doesn't fully check out, but he took 6 last night. That's a step in the right direction as well. So, or yesterday afternoon because they played in the middle of the day. I like Ayton as a pivot if you do think that game can stay remotely competitive.
How are you handling Walker Kessler here at $5,500? Came off the bench and gave us a double-double. Double-doubles and back-to-back games for him. Now there's about a month's playing time in between because he was hurt. But I mean, we're super high on Walker Kessler coming into the year. And then they just kind of messed around with his rotation and his role, and I don't really understand why, but he's a good player. The shot blocking is always going to be there for him. You would think with J-Val, they would have to use him for a bigger body here. So, I mean, sure, Yurt 7 is who they started.
Right.
I guess either center would be in play here tonight for you.
I think blanket statement, I have no idea what Utah's going to do before, it's just – yeah, I messaged you the other night. They played 10 guys 20 minutes. Like Will Hardy, head coach, came out and said, like, we're going to change the rotation. And not only did he change the rotation, he just played everybody. Everybody just played 20 minutes and like 20 to 27. And yeah, Walker Kessler had a great game. 5,500, 30 fantasy points, double-double. You said it on the show this morning, like the blocks, regardless of everything else, are going to be there. So at least we know, like, he's not going to just like completely flame out. But I don't know. Like, the field is getting to Walker Kessler today. Do I want to play a chalky Walker Kessler who has 15 fantasy point floor, 13 fantasy point floor this year? I don't know. Here's a question for you. Walker Kessler or Zeke Njai if Njai's starting?
It's probably Njai. Because we've been attacking the Clippers with centers anyways.
Forever.
And Njai's been a decent fantasy point per minute guy for us in this past.
I'm trying to see if we had any starts last year. He had 5 starts last year.
He probably never played more than 25 minutes in any of those games, I would bet.
Let's see what the starts look like, okay? So 5 starts last year. Zeke Njai. So how many minutes do you think he averaged?
25.
24 and a half. He averaged 8, 5, and a block and a steal each per game.
Okay.
So 8, 5, a block and a steal is not 5x at 5,200. I feel better about Kessler.
But that's us projecting those minutes, I guess, right? Like,
and I guess that's us saying Njai starting after being benched. What if DeAndre Jordan starts? $3,200.
So what? So I pulled out the game logs from him. He had one game where he started. Also, very much in the range of outcomes. He started. He played 15 minutes. He fouled out.
Okay, solid.
So no, not great. He had 3 games where he played 30, 27, and 26. He had a double-double in one of those games. He had a game of 7, 3, and 4 total blocks and steals. Also 5 fouls in that game. Then he had another game of 14 points, 3 rebounds, a block, and a steal in 30 minutes. So foul happy. He had a double-double in 27 minutes, and he fouled out in 15 minutes in one of the other starts. So do that with what you will when it comes to that information.
Oh, boy. Denver's going to be a nightmare tonight. Denver is going to be an absolute nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
I am waiting for this update, but I'm looking around and I'm assuming, I don't know if you saw, but DeAndre Jordan is going to be pretty popular this evening, John. Are we only playing Jordan if he's starting?
If we get the news he starts, yeah. If you get the news that DeAndre Jordan is starting, I'll play DeAndre Jordan. Because he's a guy that can go out there and give you 10 rebounds in 20 minutes, right?
What do you think legitimate number of minutes DeAndre Jordan would play?
22.
Like, that's absolute ceiling? You think he can play 22 minutes? Because if he's going to play 22 minutes at 3K, I mean...
My opinion is if he's starting, then Njai is the one that just finishes that game. So
I don't know if... He started 8 games last year, DeAndre, and I don't think that was for Denver. I want to say... Because he was traded mid-season last year, wasn't he? He averaged... So he actually started 8 games last year and... averaged 26 minutes per game in those starts.
Yeah, he had a 33-minute start. To your point, that was in November. Was he on Dallas or on Denver?
Yeah, he was on Denver. Last year
on Denver.
Denver.
He played 33 minutes. He had 8.17 rebounds.
Boy, oh boy. And
if he's starting, he's who I would play over Njai because I think the rebounds are pretty legit for him.
There's just no way we're going to know. There's just no way we find out.
I think that there's still probably a safe 20-minute floor, though, even not starting. I think he and Njai probably split it. Njai probably finishes that game, but I bet Jordan still gets a decent run there.
So DeAndre on DraftKings, Njai on FanDuel. The Njai 3,900 on FanDuel, Jordan's 35.
Yeah.
Or would you just play Jordan? Is it just Jordan min salary on both sites?
I probably just play Jordan min salary because I think there's shot block upside there too.
Yeah.
I mean, they played him 12 minutes last night, right? They didn't.
No, they literally benched Njai. They said, nope, you are out of the rotation, sir.
Right. So, I mean, now you take Joker out. I mean, he played 12 minutes as the backup center with Joker. You got to think that there's probably at least 8 more minutes in there. They're not going to give Njai 35.
Yeah, I will say, like, the good thing about, because you never, like, you're going to eat your util spot with a center. It's not but at least, like, if you want to play Joel, you're not, like, handicapped. Like, you could play Jordan at util because it's a late game. Still works, so.
Even in one of his starts last year, he only played 20 minutes in, and he still had double-double. So,
okay.
We know what DeAndre Jordan used to be. I'm not expecting the same, but like 8-8, 6-8 with a block, 4-8, 6-6 with a block and a steal, 5-4-12, 8-17-1. Like,
and now revenge.
Right? I mean, he's $3,200.
The Clippers.
And now we see that, and it's like, all right, so like, who's your Embiid sitting up over 20% now, as we expected? Probably the rostership drops down more into Embiid than off of him. And Halliburton still getting no love. No one's still nobody playing Halliburton. So
I mean,
if you're gonna play a $3,200 center tonight or a $3,200 util in DeAndre Jordan, you can certainly play Tyrese Halliburton.
Boy, if that game stays close. All
right, I kind of like it. All right, so let's build a lineup. I mean, was there any other centers you want to talk about? I guess
I don't think any other centers matter anymore.
I
don't think they matter anymore.
I would agree with you. I'm just gonna plug DeAndre Jordan in here.
Do we want to plug him util in case we go Embiid, or do you not think we're going to go Embiid?
I mean, we can if you want. I think no matter where we plug him, it doesn't matter. We're not going to be able to pivot off of him.
Sure, you could pivot to Peyton Watson. What if Peyton Watson were to start?
You leave $100 on the table, right? Isn't Watson?
Yeah, 33. Yeah.
All right. I guess
that's me more so asking. Like, do you want to play low in Halliburton, or do you want to play Embiid at 11-7? You're gonna try to do both. Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, it's $4,800.
This is a classic. Like, let's see if I can get both spend ups.
You can 100% get them both here tonight.
Jaden Ivey. Well, you can play. Yeah. Oh my God! Look at this Denver value. It's hilarious.
I mean, they're all there for you. We'll leave $100 for Payne Watson, I guess, for you. Neesmith starts forward $5,800. I mean, it's not a great tier there. Let's see, what can we do? What's Christie at? Christie's 39. So if we did Christie at 39, what do we go up from?
Goodness gracious! You go up from that guy.
Where's Jeremy Grant? 76. Probably can't get there. I don't want to do Denny though. Denny kind of sucks. Braun power forward eligible? Nope, just power forward eligible.
Yeah, handicapped in this instance.
It is. Do we still play Ivy? What's Reggie? Reggie's more expensive. All right, so I need a $6,300 power forward somewhere. I mean, I stubbornly play Denny, I guess.
Aaron Neesmith available to play.
All right, so if we go back to Neesmith, then a power forward. I guess technically we don't even need to play DeAndre Jordan. $5,200. Play like Sexton, Norm.
I'd rather play Norm. Yeah. Your Seven is there if there's if that game blows out. This tier is you just
it's gross.
This is why.
But it is doable. It is doable.
Do you want to just build sans the two spends real quick?
The 5,500 Scoot.
Such a low floor.
We got a $5,500 guard then. $5,500 guard. Yeah, probably be like you mentioned, Norm, if you wanted to go there. Jordan Poole available to play today.
Like it. I like that a lot. 2-14 Wizards versus 2-14 Pistons. One of them got to win.
Lock it in. Call it a day. Have fun. Halliburton, Poole, Braun, Neesmith, Embiid, Alvarado, Christy Jordan.
This is so gross.
There it is. There's the GPP winner right there, folks.
GPP something.
It's GPP something. All right. Without double spending, what do you want to spend up for then tonight? LeBron?
Yeah, we can do LeBron.
We'll go LeBron small forward, I guess.
I would say do LeBron power
I thought
forward.
you want to do Jeremy Grant. That's why.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we can do Jeremy Grant. That's a good one.
What's your center? Is it just Jordan?
Yeah.
Guard Ivy. Go back to Ivy. Do we play Poole now?
We sure can. He's been super good. Still probably too cheap for the upside he has if shots are falling.
We played Kuzma. What's our other value? Braun, right? Christian Braun.
He's
62. What would Kuzma be with that? 38. I mean, we definitely have it. We still have the value there.
The Denver, just naturally Denver.
Strother's 36, and then $7,700 or $8,800 rather for a util.
Zion.
Kuzma. Would you rather Kuzma or Zion? Or Cade?
Any of those three.
I kind of like Kuzma. Swap these guys, I guess. For your sake.
That's for your sake. You're under the controls here.
It's true. All right, Ivy, Poole, James, Grant, Jordan, Braun, Kuzma, and Strother. Do you feel okay with that?
The Denver lineup is going to be very hard to assess. I think seeing Strother play 19 minutes last night in non-blowout minutes is good.
I think we probably assume the starting lineup tonight is Jackson, KCP, Braun, Porter, and Jordan, I guess.
No, I think Holiday starts.
Holiday starts over Braun?
Yeah, I think so. I think Holiday instead of Brown, and then you get Jordan over NJ.
They still might start NJ, but for the money, I'd rather just play Jordan, I think.
Yeah, I mean, 5,200's insane for Zeke NJ. That's not cool.
Right.
He hasn't played more than 18 minutes this year. No thanks.
I mean, I'm with you. All right, guys. So there's just some example lineups. We'll have the ownership updated for you coming your way. If you have any questions, get us in that Discord. And if you're not already a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, right now is your time to go do it. If you go to fantasyalarm.com/cyberweek right now, /Cyber Monday, fantasyalarm.com/Cyber Monday, and use promo code HURRY. You'll save $100 off the annual subscription. That gives you the annual month-to-month cost at less than $16 a month. Right now, our month-to-month cost is almost $40 a month. So you sign up for our annual subscription package right now, and you will use promo code HURRY at the checkout there, and you will save yourself a whole lot of money right now. You can scan that QR code here on the screen as well. Use promo code HURRY at checkout and just save yourself, again, a lot of money. $16 a month. Month-to-month cost right now is almost $40 a month. So that deal goes away today. So this is your last chance to become an all-pro member for the year. This time next year, you can re-up if you want. You get access to all of our premium content, not just NBA, but NFL, NHL, UFC, PGA, MMA, you name it, behind the paywall. You get it. You also get access to our premium Discord, all for less than $16 a month when you get the annual subscription package with promo code HURRY at checkout. So scan the QR code there, get involved, join the Discord. We'll be in there till roster lock, helping you guys take down tonight's 5-game slate. You can also download the BetterCast app if you want as well. Live BetterCast game going on tonight. Opportunity to win some cool prizes in there as well. James, final thoughts for the people at home?
Good luck, and we'll be in the Discord with any other news and notes that may will lead us to victory this year.
Go check out Sean Mitchell's playbook. It's being updated now with all the latest news and breaking updates. We'll talk to you guys later.